spins well nice. Tea, coffee. So today we've got a Vauxhall Vivaro. Customer called me this morning to say we've replaced an injector on it. That's what another mechanic told us to do. So we'll replace that, and then I assume the same mechanic has come out to code it in, but he said his diagnostic tool won't do that, so we've come out to code it in for the customer. So the customer's given me the code of AKALBNA. That's the codes that he's given me for injector 1, so that's all in there, so that's all fine. So I think this is more than an injector. Injector's programmed, but it seems to be blowing smoke out of every orifice. So what they've done, I'm not too sure. So this is interesting. We're looking at some live data. It's obviously not fixed the problem. With the engine running, the DPF pressure sensor just says 0 all the time. Circular manipulation 0. Number of regenerations 0. Particle filter 0. The last time the particle filter was replaced, like fucking million of miles ago. So I think this has probably had the DPF remapped out of it. Which, interestingly, looking at this gas temperature sensor here, is probably what the original fault was, because it's reading -31. So the customer probably could have saved themselves loads of money and had that temperature sensor replaced. If it was diagnosed correctly in the first place, it would have been ideal. But there's no fault codes in this whatsoever. Nothing. We've got a BMW X1 in 2021. The customer states that they've only got heating on one side, which is the driver's side after a long run. I think it's quite a common fault with these. I'm not too sure. We need to have a look at technical data. The usual garage they go to only does servicing and tyres apparently, and said it needs an auto electrician, so have called us out to have a look. So this is the vehicle in question, quite a nice clean one. We have tested it, and yep, the heating only comes out on the driver's side. Part of these faults, all intermittent, so that means they're not there at the moment, but have been at some point. So we've got a mixing flap on the right side, mixing flap right blockage, air distribution, flat motor ventilation area, left footwheel flap blocking. So all important. We've got freeze frame data that shows us when the faults were logged. Sometimes when we go out to cars, someone will plug in their £20 code reader and try and clear all this down to see if it fixes the fault. Obviously never fixes the fault, but it always clears out this data that we need. So this shows in kilometres when it happens, so we just have to work that out in mileage when it happened, how many times it happened, etc, etc, etc. So 27 times, so it's quite a common fault on this vehicle. If we go into this one, so that's happened 7 times. And if we go into this one, that's only happened once. So first things first, we'll record all this down, and then we'll clear it out, and then go into our actual data and see what's going on. So we'll just share this data with ourselves, and that'll go off to our laptop, and we'll be able to print it off and show the customer what faults it had in it. And we'll also do a report of the whole scan as well, not just the air conditioning. So on this particular vehicle we've got a few faults, not relating to the aircon or the heater, but it could be something. So we'll just carry out a clear of all these codes. So you'll find on cars like these that have a body control unit, most modern cars, it will switch the ignition off when you're diagnosing. So you'll need to turn that back on. And a good tip to keep the body control unit awake is to put the hazard lights on. So that'll keep the body control unit awake and we can carry on with our diagnosing. So that's just clearing out all them old faults now. So now we can go back into air conditioning. Continue. Read fault codes. At the moment we've got no fault codes. So we want to go to actuation test. And basically from here we can check all of the flat motors to make sure they're working. So we'll just carry out active tests. Now you won't be able to hear it because of the hazards, but the flaps are under here. There's a driver side one and a passenger side one. So we'll be able to test each one to make sure they work. So we test them all and they do actually work. So what we'll do now is go to motor flap calibration and we'll do a self-test of the stepper motors. Just carry out a self-test. It says activation finished, but it hasn't. It's actually going to carry out a test now. We can hear it carry out the test. So we'll just wait for that. Now we want to carry out a real weld test. So we want to just pick as many of these as we can and just make sure they're all working. So mainly the front right and front left flaps. For the footwell flap is at 27%. And the actual value for the footwell flap is at 27%, so that's good. So we've got the set point of the front flap turned off and the actual value is also off. So now we'll turn it on. Hopefully we'll go up and the actual value of the flap will also go up. So we know the flap's working. Now I'll turn it down. And it will slowly go down as well. So that's how we test the flap. Can we set it at 19%? Yep. We can set it at different intervals. And back to 100%. So the front left flap works absolutely fine. So I'll move over to the front right flap. So it's a 0% at the moment, 0%. So if I start adjusting that, the set point should go up and the actual value should go up slowly to meet it. Yeah, so that works as well. So now we've got everything working at 100%. I can turn the footwell flap off. He says. Turn it up and down, and the top one should go up and down as well. So that's all working okay. So now we know that all the flaps are working absolutely fine. All we've got left to do is just warm the engine up and make sure everything that we think we need to work on here works absolutely fine. So you want to run a car up to temperature and make sure that the coolant temperature is what it's supposed to be. And everything else looks pretty good. So just warming this up now, getting the engine up to temperature. I've just got this here just to get a bit of acceleration to warm it up. So we're 158 degrees on here. Both these are set the same, and we've now got hot air on both sides. So fingers crossed for the customer, this will be the end of it. And you won't need all the dashboard taken apart and no heater box. It's my second to last job today. A bit sweaty because it's fucking hot today. Disc pads, and we've got a lower arm to fit. And the rear brakes are stripped down, inspect, clean and grease on a Toyota Yaris. I won't show you all of the job because no one wants to see brakes being changed today. So yeah, let's crack on. Just got to search through the rest of this week's parts to see if we can find the right pads. Hopefully we got them. So yeah, I've got that all buttoned up. Just need to clean off the dirty fingerprints, get the wheel back on, and then crack on with the other side. So just doing the arm on the driver's side, and for this one you've got to remove the oil filter, which is fine, and all the bolts are done up. The one over here is done up, this one's done up, so it's cleaning off from the old grease from the old split boot. Basically before we do this one up, I'm going to try and get the arm as level as possible so that when the bush is pinched up it's in its normal place for road holding. So obviously the arm goes up and down with suspension. You don't want to do it up when it's down here because that will mean that the bush will be under tension when it's level. Morning guys, so we're back out today for this lovely little Corsa. We're fitting a spring and top mount as diagnosed by a local, let's call them a tyre centre, because that's sort of what they are, a tyre centre. So about a month or so ago we fitted disc pads to this, and we did a track rod ends because the dust cover was split. Now last week she phoned me up and said I've been for an MOT and they failed it on the driver's side track rod end dust cover bit split. So I thought, oh, well, I only fitted disc and pads a little while ago and the track rod end dust cover was absolutely fine. So they're either lying or it's split in a short amount of time, which it could have done, it definitely could have done, but I'm pretty skeptical about it, to be honest. But anyway, so garage has gone ahead and they replaced the track rod ends on that one side. The customer's gone to collect it and phones me up and said, oh, I've got a horrendous knocking noise now, wasn't there before. I've been back to the garage and they're saying it's nothing to do with them. So anyway, I just said to him, well, just ask them to have a quick look just to double check their work. So this is where it gets interesting. They've got it on the ramp, double checked their work, and they said it's all okay, but it needs a new suspension spring and a new top mount. Bearing in mind they've just had an MOT done and there's no mention of the spring or the top mount on the MOT. What's going on here? So yeah, basically she needs a car back ASAP because she's got work. That's the reason she had the track rod end done at this tyre place. So where do we go from here? I've come out to it and with a spring and top mount in hand, because the garage quoted her £220, like astronomical price. So we've come out to it, quoted £160 all in. That's good money for us, and obviously better money for the customer. And I'm out here now and just inspecting it, and I can't really see any play or anything or why it needs changing, but the customer wants it done, so we're going to pull it apart and see what is wrong with it. So we've pulled off the brake hose, pulled out the ABS sensor, wiring. You want everything to be nice and slack, so nothing gets damaged. So we put it out of the way. We've got 2 bolts here. I've just taken off the drop link, move that to the side. Just get some WD-40, just give everything a nice little spray off, make sure everything comes off nicely. Pop that down there. So I like to leave a jack under the ball joint so it keeps this at the same height as the drive shaft, so when we remove the shock absorber the drive shaft doesn't pull out of the gearbox and make a big mess everywhere. So now get to the top, and the top mount is under here. I want to try and avoid taking this off because it can break the windscreen or crack the windscreen, and it can also break this because it's quite cold, but I will try. We'll probably spray some silicone across here and then gain access to the nut which is inside here. So just use some WD-40 silicone spray and just spray that across there. Basically this trim sits in like that into a channel like this. You've got to pull it out, and sometimes when you pull it out it can send a crack up the windscreen. We don't want to do that. So yeah, a bit of silicone, that's come out nice. You can see here, basically the windscreen sits in this channel, so that sort of goes up and under. So you want to protect the windscreen as best as possible. So rather than taking all the wipers off, we'll just lift this up, prop something under here so I can get to the nut. Just like that. So it's not going anywhere, it's not going to distort anything, and now we can get to this. It's a good time to pull all of this out. All of this stuff is not good for your car. Keep it nice clean out. So the garage says this needs a new spring. Why? It's not broken, it's literally in perfect working order. There's nothing wrong with the spring whatsoever. Why have they said it needs a new spring? Literally look, it looks like new. The top mount, Corsas are known for knocking top mounts. Literally, we do quite a lot of them. But this one actually doesn't look that bad. But you can never tell until you take them apart, because usually the bearings just go everywhere and they have all shit inside. So we'll pull it apart and see what's happening. So I've spoken to the customer and said, this is where we're at. I can change the spring if you want me to, however, it's got a genuine Vauxhall spring on there and it's in perfect condition, so do you want to just go ahead with changing the top mount? And they said yeah. So we're going to do that. So that's the shock built back up. New top mount on there, obviously using the older spring because it's absolutely perfect, working order. And we'll build that back up on the car. So we're pretty much all back together now, and that's all done up. The 2 bolts down here done back up, and we've put all our wiring etc back on, torqued everything up, and of course paint marks everything that we've touched. So yeah, we got our old spring back in there because obviously we didn't change that because there's nothing wrong with it. We've got a new top mount on there, so we're going to buy it back up, road test it and see if her knocking noise is gone, and yeah, we'll go from there. That's another one done and dusted. Kind of shows really, there's a lot of garages out there that are just trying to make money on someone's expense. But yeah, to tell someone that it needs a new spring without saying why, it's just unjustified really. And I think to try and take £220 off of a customer for something that it doesn't need just shows what these fast fit centres are like. They've all got targets to meet, and they'll tell you need stuff doing when you don't. But that's the problem in these big places, I suppose. But anyway, enough said. We'll box this up, see how we get on. So here we are, we've arrived at our next job. Little Peugeot 107. So yeah, we've got a clunking noise and a grinding noise, and she said that she's had 2 sets of front tyres because they've been low on the inner edge. So yeah, we can have a look over it, see what we find. Straight away I can see a problem here. What is going on there? That wheel was cambered right over, so I suspect the suspension top mount has collapsed on this side. I don't know why the garage didn't see that though. They fitted a brand new tyre to it. But literally I've been here 10 seconds and noticed that. So I wonder what's happened there then. Has he got a bent shock absorber maybe? I don't know, we'll have a look, see what we find. I'm a bit gobsmacked, very gobsmacked. So they've had a new tyre fitted recently, and they asked him, can you check what the knocking noise is, and they couldn't find what it was. Well, I think I can definitely tell you that the wheel bearing has gone. Look at that, madness. Come on. Get a better picture inside here. Look at that. So when you spin up the wheel, you can actually hear the bearings dropping. That's me done for the day. She took it quite well, to be honest. This, the bad news. She was hoping to drive it tomorrow, but I would advise against it because it's pretty bad. So the time is 5:30 and we are done for the day and gonna go head home. So yeah, thanks for watching. So this is where we're at. Got the drop link off, that came off nice and easily without ripping the boot or anything like that. We've got the 2 pinch bolts out, moved all the hoses out the way, so we've got to go to the top now. Nice and easy to get to on these, unlike most vans. These are in the engine bay, so just pop this cap off and just whiz that nut off. So that's the shock absorber out. So we've got to change this whole leg but keep the spring. I'm also going to change the top mount, which looks to be in really bad condition anyway. You can see the bearings absolutely shot to pieces. So I'll just show you the parts we're fitting. This is the new leg we're fitting. It's a Monroe one's good quality. We've got the top mount kit. We've gone for a not a cheap one, but it's not very expensive, but it comes with everything. You've got like the main rubber mount, you've got the all important top mount bearing, and it's good quality bearing. S&R, a really good make. We've got a new nut for the top, and this part as well, which goes on the top of the body. You don't always get them, but basically it's that part there which goes under here, and obviously the nut as well. That's all getting renewed. Just want to make sure you get the old rubber mount out. That sits up in there. There's always a bugger to come out because it sits so tightly up in there. What I do is get a pair of these water pump pliers and I'll just grab that like that when it's in there and just lever it down and it pops out. So we've got the spring compressor tool out. Just need to change out these cups to the van ones so we can get this this spring in. Really annoys me because this spring compressor should really be in a vise, and I haven't got a vise in here. The amount of springs I do, I should really get a vise, and I've got a vise at home. Just I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to fit it. But I should just chuck it in the van really and get it bolted in, because it's really annoying having to juggle everything about. So that's our new suspension leg built up. The spring's in really good condition. There's no rusting anywhere, so there's no reason to change the spring. We've got our new top mount bearing on there, nice and smooth. I mean, look at this. That is absolutely mental. It's actually the rust has got in there and blown the bearing apart. So I'll probably advise the customer that the driver's side probably wants changing as well, because that is horrendous. Got a nice new one in there. Really smooth, really nice. So just go ahead and squeeze that on top, make sure it's down nice. Look at that, spins well nice. Lovely. So now that's all back together, all torqued up, paint marked, etc. We've got a track rod end and possible inner to fit. First of all, we're just gonna replace the outer, and that's what's failed the MOT, and just check the play with the wheel on there, because it's quite a big wheel, and fingers crossed the outer will rectify the issue. Right, so we've got a new one on there. Test the track rod ends. We tighten this one up here, just got to torque this up. That's all nice. So now we're on to replacing the brakes. So calipers off. You can see the pads here. Really thin. So yeah, not much life left in these whatsoever. But no MOT advisory, which is weird. But anyway, discs are pretty short, so we're changing them both together. So I've got a new disc on there. We use Peugeot brakes because they are really good, and just cleaning up the contact areas of where the pad sits. And I just want to make sure this goes in and out okay. And yeah, we'll get the pads in there. There we go. So pads all in there, discs on, everything's torqued up. Job done. On to the other side.